Hello everyone and welcome to my studio. I'm Michelle Nettleton and today we're going to do a beautiful tropical tree called an Uva de Playa, which is also known as a sea grape tree. So the students are all here ready and eager to start painting, so join us. All right, so this tree is called an Uva de Playa, which is a sea grape tree. I took this the reference photo in the Dominican Republic at sunset, so it has a meaning to me. It's a unique. I love the trunk on this. Like, it's a very unique tree. All right, so this is the things we're going to look out for. So today we're going to do some pen work. So you can see the pen work in there and on the trunk. In these areas here, we want to have some light areas for the leaves and also some dark areas, and that's how you're going to distinguish one from the other. But we don't have to do every single little leaf. They're not little leaves, they're big leaves actually, but we're not going to do every single one. We're going to suggest that they're there. I mean, I did draw in one, but the rest are pretty loose. In the trunk here, there's a lot of reflection from the sun on the trunk. So those orange colors are going to be in the trunk of the tree. And in the water, it's reflecting on the water as well. So when we paint this, we're going to have to be careful because we've got blue here and we've got a orange here. When blue and orange meet one another, do you know what happens?
Green.
Yeah, or black, because they're complementary colors. So we want to paint one, let it dry, and then paint the other, and then we won't have that problem. But in here we have to make sure that it's nicely blended. We don't want to have a stripe. Okay, we want to have a nice horizon, so to do that we're going to use the tape method that we did before. So we'll do that, and let's see, is there anything else? We've got some purpley colors in there which we can make with our ultramarine blue and our alizarin crimson. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start with the water here first. So let's take the tape and tape the top part, the sky part of the horizon. And make sure to press down hard, because if it's not pressed down hard, the color seeps in underneath and gives you something that you don't want. Don't forget to wet your paint to activate it. And I'm checking it to see if it's shiny. If it's shiny, I don't want puddles. I'm wetting it.
All the water or everywhere?
Just regular. Yeah, all of the water. Yeah. And then with cobalt blue, we'll start working on the water textures. So don't fill everything up with blue. You have to leave some spots. So we want to leave some areas here where we can put the orangey, yellowy sunset reflection. So I'm just bringing it along like that. Bring it straight up to the tree. And some over on the other side. And if it gets into your tree a bit, it's okay, because there's there'll be reflections in that tree, and also what was the other thing? And also you're going to go over it with dark paint, so it won't even show. So it's tea consistency. I should have mentioned that earlier. I'm using this brush is it's called a cat's tongue, but it's not required. You could use a number 12 round brush. That would work just fine. So the brushes I have out here are a number 12 round brush, a number 8 round brush, and a number 0 round brush, and a rigger, and the cat's tongue. And I can't tell you the number on the cat's tongue because it is worn off. All right, so the trees, these nice big leaves, we'll start off with some red, or not red, some cadmium yellow, tea consistency, and we'll put them in the leaf parts here. I didn't pre-wet it because they're just small areas, so I don't get too excited about pre-wetting it. Okay, and then we're going to go into just a tad of red, and we'll drop some reds in there, and that's going to give us some orange colors. So just, it's like real quick. The paint is going to, or the water is going to do the work for us. The paint and the water is going to just, do the work for us, and we don't have to worry about too much. So just adding in a little bit, some more darker, a little bit darker colors in there. And then in the sap green, I'm going to take sap green, and I'm going to add some burnt sienna to it, because I don't want it to be super bright green. Okay, and then with the sap green, I'm going to drop some sap green in. I'm going to try and stay away from those yellows. I don't want them to blend too much, but if they do a bit, that's okay. Okay, so remember where the sun is. The sun is coming up from the horizon. So there's shadows sort of on the top part of the leaves, like behind the leaves, right? So think about where the darks will be. Ultramarine blue and some sap green. Mix those two together. I'm going to start adding in a few more darker greens in here. And you can leave a bit of white in there because there's areas where the sky is showing through. Let's go back to the water. Should be dry by now. I'm going to take my number 12 brush. And I am going to load it up with some cobalt blue and a little bit of ultramarine blue. And I'm going to use the side of my brush and catch the texture of the paper to make waves and sparkly. Leaving areas where the orange can go. All right, we'll go back into the tree. We're going to do the trunk now. So we want to get some of those orangey tones from the sky in the tree. So that's cadmium yellow and a tad of cadmium red. That should give you an orange. Yeah. So we got an orange. We're going to throw some orange in there. And we'll just let that dry. If you need more darks in your leaves, then now's a good time to do it. So I'm going to go a little bit darker in some places, but not too many.
Did you take the tape?
I think maybe that's about all the darks that I'm going to put in for now. All right, so we can work on this root right here. So we've got we'll take some cobalt blue and some alizarin crimson. We'll mix them together and we got a purple color. So we're going to kind of make the root. And we're just going to leave that to dry. Okay. And then we can put some colors in the sand here. Some burnt sienna. And a bit of cobalt blue and ultramarine blue right in here. So orange tones in the water. Make sure you have clean water to paint with. Okay, and so we're going to wet it a little bit in those areas where we have the reflected light from the sunset. And we'll use yellow, cadmium yellow, and a tad of red. That'll give us an orange. And then we'll just kind of lay those colors in. I'm not wetting first. Also throwing some of that color into the sandy part. So, going back into the tree, we are going to start working on the tree trunk. So, we're going to make a purpley color with ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson. That should give us a nice purple. It's a dull purple, which is what I'm looking for. I don't want a bright purple. And I'm going to wet the tree trunk. Okay, I don't want it soaking wet, just damp. So I blot off the puddles. And then on the right hand side, I guess I have to pull this up to pull that up. The tape, just pulled up the tape. Okay. All right, so now on the right hand side, I'm going to drop in some purple. And I want the paint, I want the water to do the work for me. So it's causing the purple to move around. I'm staying on the right hand side because remember where the shadow would be on the right hand side because of where the sun is. So I'm trying to keep the nice orangey colors. I don't want them to be eaten up by the purple. Now I'm using a buttery consistency of the alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue. Going more on the ultramarine blue side. And dropping in these dark colors here and there. I'm not doing an outline. And right in here, there's a big shadow, so we can put a lot of shadow down near the base of the tree. And remember, the edges are rough. This is not a smooth tree. So you want a ragged edge. And you can go pretty dark with the tree branches that are inside where the leaves are, because that would be pretty much in shadow. So if your area where the sunset is dry, then we can add the sunset colors in there, which are cadmium yellow and cadmium red. Just a little bit of cadmium red. We got that orangey color. All right, and we're going to place it in there. I'm going to add a little bit of red into that, get it to glow a little bit more. And just for fun, I'm going to add a little bit of red up in here because I think that there should be a little bit of red in the sunset up near the blue, so it comes out purple. Gonna add a little more reddy orange in the water. And while this is just a bit damp, alizarin crimson and ultramarine blue. So now I've got a purple. That purple's pretty bright. So I'm going to add a little bit of burnt sienna in it, just a tad to get it to calm down a little bit. There, that should do it. I'm going to add a little more blue. And what the color I'm mixing for is this in the horizon. I want to put a little bit of some mountains or something on there. So and because it's a little bit wet, it's just blending. There. Alright, so real dark on the bark. So we're going to mix up a purple. So that would be alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue, more on the blue side, and we'll throw in a tad of black, very little black, okay, just to get it a little bit darker. And then we'll work on making some marks here and there. To get something a little bit darker. Let's make a shadow here for our root. Maybe add a little rock or something here. Little bits of something in the sand with burnt sienna. And we need a nice dark shadow here because the tree trunk is causing a shadow, a dark shadow. So I'm going to take some burnt sienna and add some ultramarine blue and make that dark shadow. All right, we are just about done. So we have to let this dry and then we're going to add the brushwork. Can't do the brushwork until everything is dry. Okay, so now we're going to do the pen work. So in the leaves, we are just going to suggest leaves. We're not going to draw in every single leaf. Those leaves are really large leaves. So think about that when you're putting in lines. So you'll have to sort of imagine where your leaves are. And they are kind of heart-shaped. So one or two of them I made the shape of the actual leaf, but the rest I'm just going to suggest. And then I'm going to darken the branch, or the branches, and the trunk of the tree, especially on the right hand side where the greatest shadow is. I'm going to make little scribbly lines to say that the bark is very rough. I'm going to put a few lines on the right hand side, or the left hand side, sorry, just to distinguish it from the background. Going to draw in the root that I had there. think I'll take my rigger and add maybe a few grasses down here. And last thing that I forgot was the veins on the leaves. The veins on the leaves, yeah. So with a rigger and some sap green. Then I'll put my name. That completes our coastal getaway. Keep practicing, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.